So opening up like news apps and whatnot. Dana White is talking about Joanna facing Zhang for the title, right? Do you know anything about that?
Did you get her bobblehead yet? I gotta get her bobblehead.
No. Oh my god, dude, that'll sit right there on the table.
I'll make it happen.
That'd be sick, dude. Yeah.
A bobblehead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the best matchup for her. Believe it or not, she has proven this last fight that she's back, and I believe in a major way. She brought up, her strength, she brought up her power. You could see physically she's bigger. Luke Thomas said something on his podcast. You guys know who Luke Thomas is?
I don't.
Big name.
Josh does.
Yeah. So bigger. He's he's like a lifter. He likes lifting a lot. So that's cool. But he's a major journalist in the MMA world.
Okay.
Right. Works with Ariel Helwani, and he came on. He was like, man, look how she looks substantially bigger from when she started, like the first 4 fights in the UFC to now. And, obviously the weight cut is an issue there. She's getting bigger. That is what it is. A lot of these guys, like Dustin, is never going to make 145 again, ever in his life. We got to cut a limb. You know what I mean? It's just, fighters get bigger. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And they grow, they expand and things like that. And it's harder for them to lose the weight. I think if she has the chance to regain the title, it's against this girl. And I know that Zhang is a phenomenal fighter. Don't get me wrong. But styles make fights. And that style right there is perfect for Joanna. And we've changed some things as far as her ability to move, and we're changing the rhythms. The thing what happened with Rose was that Rose already had the blueprint of what Joanna does. When you're at the top, right? When you're at the top of the mountain, everybody's looking at you. Rose was training for Joanna way before Joanna even know who Rose was. So when you get there and you're at the top, you're only trying to increase your abilities. You're not working towards getting to that degree of competition, right? Now we know we needed to change some things, and now she's changing her rhythm. She's moving a lot more efficiently. She's not just forward and back. You could see that she's really working her angles. She's working her rhythm, and now putting it all together, I feel like this is the best opportunity to get that strap back.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you hear all the time, right? Like you have to take a step back in order to step forward, obviously.
Yeah.
But like that loss, like you just said, is going to propel her to get that strap back.
Yeah.
In the strawweight division, how the hell do you maintain size and muscle and strength while cutting down to such a light weight?
Yeah, the weight cut is a science behind itself.
Yeah.
We have George Lockhart, that works with a lot of the guys there.
Yeah.
You guys know George is.
Yeah, yeah, he's been on here.
Yeah. So George is a good friend of mine. He does a phenomenal job. He has great protocol. I follow it also, when it comes to the fighters that we have here. And at the end of the day, it's really about just trying to manage a certain percentage off of camp, right? You don't want to get, especially for females, you don't want them anywhere higher than about 15% from scale weight. That's year round, because again, some of them will take fights on short notice, things like that. When they start camp, you want them about 12% from scale weight. And if they're anywhere higher than that, it's gonna be a hard cut. But it is tough. What I'll do especially when we start camp, we'll do a lot of isometrics, we'll do a lot of quasi isometrics, overcoming isometrics. So we're getting them strong in those ranges, like I said, but we're not putting on any added muscle mass. Now, again,
you're careful not to let them gain muscle during that period.
Yeah, very careful, especially Joanna. That really depends. Like some of the guys need to put on some body mass just to make sure that they're not going to get injured.
Yeah,
but for her, it's very tough. She walks around probably now about 138.
Oh my
and she's a big girl. She's like 5'7", 5'6".
Damn, I didn't know she was that tall.
Yeah, and her legs are big. She's like
how big is Zhang then?
I think Zhang's shorter, way shorter.
Yeah,
I think she's like 5'4". I'm not too sure, but I think she's shorter for sure.
Whoa, I didn't know she was that tall though, man.
Yeah. Joanna's tall.
Yeah,
for sure. Like, I mean, if you look, she's like probably, she's probably her top of her head's probably about my nose height. So I'm 5'8". You know what I mean? So at that point, she's up there.
Wow.
And on top of that, she's thick. She's a thick girl. Legs, her upper body obviously stays lean. So that's another thing. And then when I'm seeing her, when she came into camp this time, she was doing the off-camp training. she was primarily just working out, just doing weight training, because she doesn't have a whole lot of skills training she could do in Poland, and she does like all these little things around the world. So she does like, you know, guest appearances and all that stuff. So she was just trying to find just weight training around other places she was traveling to. So she would do the training that I had for her, and yes, it's gonna put on some muscle mass. When she came into camp, she was already super lean. I could see abs on her at 135 pounds. So at that point, I'm like, okay, we only got a little bit left. Wow. Yeah, we only got a little bit left here. So I'm like, okay, George, we gotta figure this out, man. But yeah, and then, you know,
starting a water cut at the beginning of camp.
Yeah, like, and then it's also the diet has to be monitored a lot, you know, on a daily basis, and that's gonna dictate the training too. Getting closer to the fight, you know, we bring down the strength and conditioning, you know, substantially. You know, a lot of the times she'll do some conditioning. A lot of that from about 4 weeks out is just maintenance in a way. You know, I may only have her 1 day a week in the weight room, and that's just for maintenance, right? And a lot of it because of the fact that she's just doing so much, and she's trying to bring down the weight, and she's calorie deprived, and you know that's just the way it is. You know.
Yeah. So since
I like to see her at 125, to be honest. I like to see her get this title back and then go to 125.
Yeah. So if like, let's say she is walking around 125, or she's at 15%, whatever that may be, ideally, like, how long should the camp be, like, in your opinion?
I mean, usually it's 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, 8 weeks is optimal. You know? And I know. I mean, because of the fact that, you know, everything has to come into play. Like, she has to get her wrestling on point. She has to get her grappling on point. She has to get her sparring, but also get timing down. And then we have to monitor it and dictate it towards the opponent. So she has to get her sparring in with the opponent or with the sparring partner that's going to obviously mimic the opponent. Right. Yeah, so it's going to be about 8 weeks for sure.
That's exciting, man. I can't wait for that fight.
Yeah, and we're looking. I'm hoping it's like going to be at the same time that Dustin fights.
Ooh, okay.
So like we're looking at probably March.
Does he? Does he have somebody coming up?
Nah, I mean there's options there. You know, you could fight Gagey again. You could fight. He could fight Cowboy. He could fight Connor.
Josh, who do you want to fight?
Everybody.
Yeah. Super excited. I know. Like, McGregor keeps talking shit like he's gonna fight Cowboy coming up, but I think he just gets so bored, right? Like, he's like, nobody's talking about me. I want to say something.
I don't have no problems with Connor, man.
Yeah.
I actually, I mean, George Lockhart works with
absolutely.
him. I've spoken with him before. He's all right.
We get all fired up anytime somebody that we have a connection with that's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
so.
no, I hear you. Listen, Dustin's like a brother to me. So like when that happens, like if Connor fights Dustin, then obviously it's all now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I'll be the first there to back him up, especially on Twitter. Fucking Twitter.